And the stream is on. Welcome to Rauta's April 2022 stream. It's officially a go. Now, today's topic is obviously, as the title says, it's Inferno Festival 2022. So I'm gonna talk about the bands, the festival, and whatever related to that. Obviously, I will do more material from the actual festival when we get there in about weeks' time. That is the festival runs from Thursday to Sunday, so it's going to be 4 days of festival madness. Welcome to the stream. I have once again some beer here. This one is called Raptor Imperial IPA. Welcome to the stream. Hello there, Deechester. Obviously, I'm gonna wait a little bit for people to join the stream. I hope you can hear me well and all that stuff. So let's tune the phone into do not interrupt mode, and we can focus on the stream itself. How are you guys holding up? I don't know if it makes difference, but I do have a LED lighting here. I just purchased this one because people have been complaining sometimes that the video is too grainy, and you can see the difference. This is how it looks without the LED lighting, which is almost around the camera. I could actually move it, so it's a little bit grainier. When we tune in for this LED light, everything becomes a little bit more tolerable, and you get to see my pretty model face here. All kidding aside, am aware that I'm no Brad Pitt or Johnny Depp. Anyway, time to open a beer. Time to talk about festivals and things in general. Before we get into festival, tasty, strong beer. So before we get into the festival thing, I need to mention, where's my beer glass, by the way? Lost. No. Right here. So, let me know if you hear me fine. Give me a thumbs up or something. Otherwise, I'm just assuming that you're probably hearing it. Now, the thing here is, last weekend I was in COVID. That is the coronavirus that's been pestering us. And I was like thinking that I'm going to get away from it because, I don't really have to move that much around and off from the house. I mean, I work from home and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be safe from COVID because if I didn't get at the Turku Saatanalla festival, how would I get it? But as it turned out to be, I was wrong. Got COVID, had a little bit of illness, like 1 day of fever, and being in running nose, coughing a lot, and things like that. But now I'm pretty much full health. Still have a little bit running nose every now and then, and coughing every now and then, but nothing too serious at this point anymore. So COVID more or less beaten, and looking forward to get back to the gym. Looking forward to go to the Inferno Festival and all that stuff. And thank you, Marcos. It's good to hear that boys and all is all well. I had to change my setup a little bit, so had to make sure everything is working fine. So now we have better lighting. Now we have all set here. Let's talk about Inferno Festival 2022. Now, I promised in the photo a couple of hours ago to boost the stream to let you people know that I have agreed to do some interviews at Inferno Festival. Now, my aim is to do 8 in total. Sometimes we get less than what I'm aiming for. Sometimes we get more, but can't really agree too many of them, or otherwise it means me and the camera crew, I'm gonna miss all the shows. We're not able to see all the bands we would like to see and all that stuff. So, hello, Raul. The thing is, if I schedule too many interviews, it means that I'm gonna miss a lot of bands on stage, and obviously that makes no sense when we're talking about festival where one goes to see bands. So 2 interviews per day, give or take, is what I aim for. And first, the bad news. 2 bands have said, like, sorry, they're not going to do. Well, one band didn't say exactly sorry. Their manager or whatever just said that Hordom Rife is not able for interviews, at least for this particular moment. Kamfar, which I hope to interview, was very polite in his reply. Sorry, not this time. He would like to do interview with me, he told, but this is not suitable time for various reasons. No, those are the bad ones. The good thing is, still, depending how you count, I have 5 or 6 interviews planned. Dark Fortress from Germany was first to really quickly reply, like they're on board with me to do interview at Inferno Fest. And the thing is, I like the band. It's good melodic black metal, which has been here for almost 30 years now. Reviewed some of their albums. I really like what they're doing. It's not maybe the most original band on earth, but they're doing good music. And as such, I'm more than happy to interview these guys as well. The second band was, I think, Asphyx, who also very politely and nicely replied, like, hey, let's do this interview. So some old school death metal is present there. There was actually Martin von Drunen who replied to me, and I was like, man, this is really cool. Because of Comfort and Hordom Rife didn't go through, I had already to find some replacement. So I mailed those guys playing in order, the Norwegian black metal bands. Of you might be familiar with, because they have old Mayhem members as well as Cadaver members. So he was like, hey, yeah, great. It's going to be great to do interview with you. I was like, okay, really cool. We could basically do Cadaver and Order interviews back to back. That is, if they're up for that. And this is the reason why I wanted to mention, depending how you count, we have 5 or 6 bands. 6 if both of these bands are still fine with the guys. 5 if not. So at least something really cool in that respect. One of my most anticipated interviews, which just got confirmed, was Triumph of Death with Dom G Warrior. Now, those of you who don't know what Triumph of Death is, technically speaking, it's Tom G Warrior and his colleagues playing music of old Celtic Frost and Hellhammer. That's how I understood it to be anyway. So it's going to be really great to meet this legendary black metal first wave hero. I mean, there are not too many of them. If you really count it, Bathory dead, unfortunately so. Then we have Tom G Warrior with his members to do that. We have Venom and we have King Diamond. And that's the whole first wave of black metal, really. So 4 bands and 1 is deceased, unfortunately so. Now I'm trying to get Venom for interview, but so far they haven't replied me. I will remind their manager or whatever their representative is for the second time, like, dude, could we really do Venom interview there? Because it would be great. So at least getting one of those early legends for Rauta is going to be very important for me, because I do love old Celtic Frost and that kind of a material. I mean, it has been inspired me probably way more than a lot of other bands with my own music, with my own bands. So I'm really stoked to have that happening. I'm probably forgetting something here because I'm like, what the hell? There are a couple of bands which I'm still hoping to get these replies. Oh yeah, one band which also replied me in a very, very nice fashion is Murgskog. And Murgskog has this dude, Thor, which you already might know from various bands, including, but not limited to, Morbid Angel. So we have quite an interesting take so far. Asphyx, Dark Fortress, Murgskog, Order, and Cadaver, if they both are happening, and Triumph of Death. Now, I'm still waiting for some replies. And obviously, because Inferno Fest is also about these big names, which some of I have already interviewed, like, Isat and Mayhem, Marduk. I don't really need to interview them again. So that's why I didn't even bother contacting them for this particular possibility. But there's still some bands which I have in my head. Like I'm gonna contact them in case some of these bands like Venom and Gorgoroth bail out. Like for instance, Einherjer from Norway is playing on Friday, the same day actually with Gorgoroth and Venom. Would be really great to get them around if those bands are not possible. Maybe Be United, the French band, which is co-headlining with Venom on Friday. That might be interesting one, as well as the great old ones and Vedbo and Zende. We'll see about that. But for Saturday, for example, the biggest bands Marduk and Mayhem and also Vraid already covered those, so no need to do that, including Toulouse and Valkyria. So a lot of bands playing on Saturday already covered. That's why it's really cool to get Dark Fortress and Asphyx for that. And Creator and Take playing on Sunday already covered them. So it will be interesting to see and interview order which are playing on Sunday. And I already sent interview request to Bilzer, which is playing on Thursday. So once again, to recap the idea, I'm planning to do two interviews every day. And for example, for Thursday, it would be, well, Triumph of Death and Bilzer, since Kamfar didn't really fit in or decided not to do it. But then again, Triumph of Death was already postponed to Friday, which I think is more suitable because it's early hours of the day, which leaves me more time on Thursday. I mean, I'm arriving to Oslo in the early hours around 10 a.m. or whatever. So it's going to be plenty of time for me to figure out. There are interesting bands which could be really interviewed if it was up to me, like Regardes les Hommes Tombeurs from France. So it's going to be interesting to see which bands finally come through with these interviews. But just to give you a little bit of insight what's going on and which bands to interview, these are the plans. I don't know if you watched my last week's Inferno Festival video, but there I recapped the whole festival, what kind of bands are going to play there, and what you should expect. Now, I don't know about you people, but I am really stoked about the lineup. It's not maybe as good as vast as Steelfest 2021, but still it's also different, more leaning on the Norwegian black metal bands and the kind of older bands in that respect, where Steelfest is giving more ways to modern bands, and I think the lineup there is a little bit more diverse. Be it as may, I think it's really cool that these two festivals are not exactly overlapping with the idea what there is to offer. So it's going to be 4 days now during Easter, and a month later it's going to be Inferno Festival. That's really Steelfest Festival. So first Inferno and then Steelfest, and those two I'm going to be covering as badly as I can. And I'm also planning, can't really guarantee it right now, don't ever know beforehand how it's going to be, but I tried to do a kind of a video overall recap what's going on. I've previously done with Tuska and those Nordic metal cruises, and this recap means that I'm going to the festival area with my cameraman. We're gonna just interview random people, not the bands only, and shoot around like what's kind of a place it is and give you a little bit of insight what it is to be. Now, this is my second time I'm going to Inferno Festival, and my first time was as early as 2004. Sorry. Yeah, I know, 2004. Yeah. I was going to say it's 2005, but no, it doesn't. No, 2004. So it has been like 18 years since my last visit to Inferno Festival, and a lot of things have changed. For example, now it's 4 days instead of a couple of days, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Haven't been to Oslo for a while, so interesting times ahead. Now, and oh, hello, Zepkin. Am I drunk again? No, this is my first beer in the evening. Actually, technically speaking, I had a beer at band rehearsals, but that was like 4 hours ago. Yeah, it's gonna be very, very interesting. Now, hello, Raul Conte. I haven't checked out Brutal Assault lineup this year. No, can't really comment it at yet. And no, I don't think Russia is going to invade Finland. I don't think it's likely. I don't think it's happening. Is it like he's asking me, have I ever smoked a fine cigar? I have. And some random spede is spamming the chat. This is the reason why I should actually limit the comment section to subscribers only. Oh, thanks for the comment, Gyro. This is actually a Nile shirt, which I think I bought some 6 years ago when Nile and Meleches were playing in Finland during Easter time. That was like 1 year before Rauta actually started, but I already made interviews back in the days. That was like the pilot version of Rauta, and there is still footage of this Nile interview and Meleches interview done in what it is 2016 then. So this is their tour shirt, long sleeved one, which I bought. Nile is still one of my favorite death metal bands, especially modern era of bands. So yeah, I like them a lot. Seen them a few times live, and they never let me down. So it's brutal and technical and also unique with their Egyptian themes. Karam Alareva, I'm asking, am I familiar with Solar guitars? I know the brand, never played a Solar myself, but then again, I'm not exactly a guitar player, being more a vocalist. So yeah, I only know Solar brand by its name. Why are you asking if you don't mind me asking? Turn around is commenting and don't recognize a lot of bands from the fest. Well, the funny thing with Inferno, and I'm gonna recap some of the lineup here, is like you have these bigger bands and you have smaller bands. Technically speaking, it already starts on Wednesday with indie records label night, which has bands like Glazam, Natafrost, and Nordgivel. Nordgivel would be nice to see, and why not the first as well? They played a nice show at Steelfest a few years ago. But those are the kind of a smaller names of Norwegian black metal, kind of a more modern name, if you will. But they're solid anyway. On Thursday, the bigger ones are obviously Triumph of Death with Domji Warrior of Celtic Frost and Triptychon and Hellhammer fame. Then you have obviously Isan doing his solo project. Everybody knows Isan for Emperor. And then you have Kamfar, which never was the biggest band of Norway's black metal scene, but has been for a long time in the Nordic metal scene. And Cadaver, which is, I guess, one of the oldest active death metal names from Germany, Norway. People should know it. But their names like Djerv, which I don't know at all, don't know Convent, so can't really say a word or two about them. About Regarder les Hommes Tombeurs is something that I have previously reviewed a couple of times on Rauta. Plays solid modern French black metal. Definitely worth taking a look at, even if that name doesn't ring a bell. So they're both smaller and bigger bands. On Friday, the smallest bands are obviously names like Hamferd and Solbrud and Ulve Hurde. Ulve Hurde I recently actually reviewed, promising a new Norwegian band with only one album out, so it doesn't necessarily ring a bell. But the bigger ones are obviously Gorgoroth and Venom, so they should be known to a lot of people. Einherjeri is relatively known to Wedbu Sende, kind of a cult act. People could probably know, being with their avant-garde progressive black metal. And one of the promising names from Netherlands, Azagam, with 2 albums out. A really good band, in my opinion. And then these great old ones, which, if I recall correctly, play some sort of a Lovecraftian doom. Not exactly big names, so it's totally understandable if people don't know them. What is interesting on Saturday is that there are a lot of bigger and known names. Like I mentioned, Dark Fortress, maybe not the biggest band, but being active since 1994. Asphyx is, of course, old school death metal for more than 30 years. Braid, which is the successor to Windir, Norwegian black metal band. Braid style is black and roll and has been there for a long time also by now. And then there's Marduk and Mayhem, of course. But the smaller bands, Grida and Xenoblight, them I don't know at all. Not to mention the smaller name Cosmos Brenner which is they're playing one of the smaller clubs. Then there's Zifir from Turkey, which I think did at least one decent album, a couple of lukewarm ones earlier. Have reviewed at least three of their albums. It's pretty okay. Then there's from Vastland. Originally, I think he was from Iraq or Iran. Can't really remember, but relocated to Norway many, many years ago and does solid basic black metal. It's interesting how he relocated to Norway later on to give his freedom, because obviously in some Muslim countries you're not allowed to play metal music. He was also featured in the Black Hearts documentary, not a good documentary, but interesting anyway, um, where he just kind of talked about coming to Norway and it was kind of a dream come true. So it's interesting. That would be also interesting band to interview. So that is also on my backup list, if you will. And Valkyria, solid Swedish black metal, nice guys, good music, kind of the same approach and genre like as with Vatane. And then we have Toulouse, old school Norwegian black metal band with kind of a mid-tempo stuff. So at least people should know it, even though it's kind of a smaller cult name. Sunday is then again opened with smaller names as Isvind and Sorein and Nahash. Iswind, I know. Those two others, not so much. And then there are names like Eridu, Nirst, and Discarnate, which I can't say I know. And I don't remember listening to Order, even though it's a little bit of a cult name with a couple of albums and old school black metal names. But then again, there are bands like Talke, Creator, Murkskog from various countries. I mean, Creator, of course, from Germany, and Murkskog and Talke from Norway. And one of the better modern black metal names from Norway is Hordom Rife, which is opening the main stage on Sunday. And then there's Oranssi Pachuzu with their more kind of hipster black metal, if you will, from Finland. That's, by the way, the only Finnish name I could, notice here. So it's both a combination of smaller bands and bigger names. And of course, the biggest ones are names like Venom and Triumph of Death and, Mayhem and Marduk. So also, combination of new and old, basically. Lots of Norwegian names, which are then again, of course, cheaper to book once the actual festival is in Norway. So there's that. All right, that's a quick recap what's going on with the Inferno Festival. What else? Do I know Aid the band? Can't say I know. Yeah, there is a good side when you go to a festival where you don't really know the bands, because then you do know a lot of bands versus events and festivals where you actually know all the bands and like seeing that, being there, done that, blah blah blah. It's easier to just keep the kind of a names that you've seen many times. Like for me, seeing Marduk and Mayhem a lot of times, like I don't know if it's necessary for me to see them every couple of years, really. So for example, if this was me seeing Marduk, I like Marduk, or seeing Mayhem, or doing some random interview at the same time, I'd probably go for the interview, because interviews are harder to come by than to see Marduk or Mayhem on stage. Don't get me wrong, I like the bands, but when you have to make choices, like, will I go to see that band, which I've seen 5 times, or do this something once of a lifetime kind of a thing? Well, figure it out. Hello, Albertia. See you in Oslo, I hope. Oh, the enemy is fronted by female that sings in the Demo Burger song Gateways. Okay. Guto is asking me if I like dying fetus, devourment, or cattle decapitation. Well, cattle decapitation is maybe a little bit grindy for me, but I like the style what bands like Devourment are doing. So slam slash brutal death metal is definitely right up my alley. Now, I think Devourment is pretty good, but they're, in my opinion, better bands than Devourment in the same category. So I could say I like the style, but Devourment is not my favorite. Dark Fetus is also the kind of American death metal, the brutal kind, which I also like, but not my favorite band. Though solid band live and on albums, so I guess I can say I like the style. haven't yet heard the new later this month, so I'm waiting for the full. I don't really care about individual songs usually. Now, every now and then I make exception to the rule. For example, I really listen to the latest Rammstein song, actually the both of them, and what other solo, single there was? Oh yeah, Pink Floyd. Well, that wasn't too good. Anyway, I rarely listen to the single. I almost always, wait for the full albums. Hello, Hakis. Moro, Erik. Um, this is an interesting question. Which bands sound most different live than listening to the CD or a phone or a computer? Um, I don't know which bands sound the most different because a lot of bands sound powerful when they are, on albums, but sound kind of lame when they go on stage. And some bands do exactly the opposite. They're powerful live, even if on album they're boring. Now, I remember, for example, when I saw Cult of Fire for the first time, and I don't know, they sounded kind of a boring on stage. So when I later on gave them a chance on, I think it was EP back in the days, and that was like really good. And I didn't even like believe my ears and mind. Like, is it exactly the same band? But sometimes that's what happens. I think that is also true with some of the bands which are playing super fast. They might not necessarily have the good live sound when they go on stage. They might sound all blurry and mushy and all that shit. And you don't really necessarily like figure out what song is being played. I actually had that going on with Mayhem. Maybe it was some 15 years ago, but still, like I was like, what the fuck is this song? Oh, it's Freezing Moon. By the time you get to the chorus parts and whatever, you kind of figure it out. But yeah, mushy sound and lame live presence can really ruin a band on stage, even if you love that album, the band on album. And there are bands which can go either way. So I don't know if there's any like this is the biggest difference kind of a band, but there are bands which just don't work well on stage and vice versa. Yeah, I think Ribbons has this live presence. Like they're so violent, it gets more, how to say, more concrete live. When they're playing songs live, it becomes like more, you know, it's more like you're part of the whole thing. You see and feel this, well, not necessarily see, but you feel and hear this wall of force that band is doing with their music. But on stage, it feels like, okay, you're listening to this buzzing of some bee in a matchbox. It's like, whereas live, it's going to be like it's totally different thing. So Revenge, I guess, goes into that department. I don't remember listening to that, Yorgatur. Goat Inis. Um, Mayhem has definitely changed over the years, both live and both in albums. Because I mean, I'm a big fan of The Mysteries of Satanas. I think it's one of the best black metal albums of all times. And after Wolf's Lair Abyss, which was not nearly as good as The Mysteries of Satanas, I think Mayhem did a lot of lukewarm albums. Not lukewarm in the terms of like being unoriginal. I actually think they had originality with Grand Declaration of War and albums like Chimera and all, but the albums didn't sound good. and that's, in my opinion, one of the problems. So they did original material, but it was like, this is not coming from Euronymous, so it was a whole different band, and that's probably, in my opinion, why the band started to suck. They came back strong with Demon, and when I saw Mayhem for the last time, it was November 2019. They were really great. They had like this show in three parts. They had the newer material. They had the Mysteries, the Satanas part in the show, and they also had the show with Death Crush and other parts. So it's a different band than what it used to be some 10, 15 years ago. Thank you very much, Marcos Mendez. Muchas gracias for your donation. Uh, Thank you very much for your donation. It will help me and the crew to do our stuff, including going to Rauta crew, going to Inferno Festival to do some interviews. So all this money definitely helps do us interviews, which means I need to say this. I hope people will consider becoming Rauta Patreon supporters for material, and it means especially interviews. And Marcos, to your question, I feel I'm obliged to do that. It was actually one of the guys who used to play in Horna, who plays in Cryptomok, who has played in various other bands. He was pretty drunk, and he decided he doesn't give a fuck. So he decided to take a piss on that Christian dude's shoe. But I told my editor, blur the face, because it's like not like fair to have his face right there. But yeah, that's him. By the way, Cryptomok is a really good band. You should give it a chance and listen to that. Hello, Eric. Nice to have you here. Cheers. And about Gerald, about your comment about OG and Attila and Mayhem. Well, that technically speaking, that's kind of a true. I mean, well, Necro Butcher is still very much present in the band, and of course you have Hellhammer from the crew. So I think Mayhem is still very, very, original lineup. Not the original, but the lineup that actually made the difference. So, in my opinion, Mayhem is still clinging to those roots and being honest with them. So, even though I disliked Mayhem for a lot of years, not because of the band, but what they were doing with music and all, and like, became a whole different entity. I still like what Mayhem is doing, and I think it's a great that they made this kind of a comeback to kind of redeem themselves, if you know what I mean. And I mean, it's not an easy effort. Once you lose your focus with your music, you lose your grasp what's going on. It's not easy to come back, as a band that actually makes different. I mean, we've been there, and I'm gonna talk about my own band later on. Actually, let me just check out the schedule. Yeah, it's next week. I'm supposed to do this video about my own band and getting back to them, two bands that is, after a long break, because I feel it's a necessary thing, to come clean, like what it is to stay away from your own bands more than 10 years and come back and trying to be relevant and also make good music, because not only once you lose your touch with the ground, like you make a good album, you make good gigs and live and tours or whatever, and then people start dying, like what was going on with Mayhem, or people go to prison, which was also true with the Norwegian scene, and things go south. You lose some members, some people decide to distance from them, from the band by themselves, and things go different directions. Suddenly, you don't have the band that you had at some point that was like leading band of the scene, and then everything is like falling apart, and you do some shitty albums, and people are like, "What the fuck? This isn't even the same band what it used to be." and you somehow try just crawl through that shitty phase, and then you realize it's not some phase of 2 years or 5 years. It's a weird phase of 10, 15 years, 20 years even. So for example, in my opinion, Mayhem had more than 20 years of that kind of a shittier phase, if you know what I mean, versus some bands that were constantly putting out good material. So I think it's a big thing for them to actually kind of make the circle complete again and come back with a strong album, and finding their way back to the roots and still having a lot of these old members. So it's not like Mayhem is one of those bands who doesn't have any original members left in the band, because technically speaking, while it might be so, I mean, we don't have Dead, we don't have Euronymous, we don't have those early members who were part of the band, but still, there are like three members of the band who made the Mysteries, Dom Satanas happen, and they are still on the stage. They're still doing some great music and performing those songs in a way only Mayhem can. I mean, a lot of cover bands could probably get away, playing with those songs and all that stuff. But there's a difference when you have the original guys doing that. You might not agree with some of the things they say on stage or whatever they do, blah, blah, blah. The point is, I have a high respect for people who can do that after 25, 30 years in the business, because it's not an easy choice. Because a lot of us choose family or normal work life instead of doing albums one after another, because bands are kind of like bound to fail. Not every band can be like Marduk and put up an album every couple of years and it's going to be solid and they can tour and whatever. You usually have to make this choice, whether it's about family life, work life, or a band that does good albums. Most bands are not able to do solid 10 albums, not even five. Most bands are not able to do even two good albums. So when you put in that respect, it's gonna be, yeah, something worth respecting, in my opinion, anyway. Okay, well, I'm ranting once again, so shoot me again with those questions. Mark 13 asked me a really interesting question: how I see Typo Negative live. I knew they played, but I never was a fan of the band, so nope. And I kind of regret it, because even though it wasn't my cup of tea, obviously my nowadays self would say, yeah, if there's a Typo Negative playing around, I gotta see it. But nope, never got to see them live. What else? Yeah, I guess Wolf Slayer Abyss is a little bit underrated Mayhem for reasons I guess mentioned in a way. Um, Eric Oy is asking interesting question also about Sami metal bands. And those who don't know what Sami people are, they are like Finnish versions of Native Americans living in up north. I don't know what the proper politically correct word would be then, but so let's just stick with native northern people. I don't know any Sami-based bands in Finland. There might be, but the thing here is there are not too much Sami people living in Finland, and I mean the whole Lapland area in up far north. I mean it's not very lot populated, and there's not too many people around. A lot of those Sami people are sticking to their old habits and cultural traditions, I guess would be the proper way to put it. And I don't know if they're that interested in doing metal. Maybe some are. Maybe I'm just like, I don't know, uneducated. But I don't know any Sami metal bands out there. And if I'm 100% sure and honest with you, I would say I don't know if it would actually make sense. Sometimes people figure out a gimmick. Say they are like, okay, because I'm like 97% DNA, aboriginal from Australia. I should have a band that plays that style, and but I don't know if it actually clicks, because, for example, black metal has never been about certain nation or certain, culture. It has never been, about skin tone or language. Doesn't matter how many Norwegian bands singing in Norwegian, or Swedish bands singing in Swedish, but it has never been about that. If black metal is united by one thing, and one thing alone at all in the world, I would say it's mostly being against religions, Christianity most. But that's about it. I mean, when you bring elements like Sami people, Sami culture, Sami folklore, whatever, or I don't know, some Inca thing from South, or what, South America, or whatever, it feels pretentious. I mean, it's not like real deal. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but for me, it feels like uh, it's not part of that. Maybe in metal in general, you could say, yeah, we have this Sami metal thing going on, but I don't know. To me, it would sound like kind of a point of sales kind of a thing. So when you don't have anything at all as an idea, you start creating your idea that revolves around this one thing. I mean, it's one thing to cling in your um, heritage and whatever in your personal life, and it's one thing to put that into, say, metal music, which has never been exactly about one's roots, or background or heritage or whatever. So I don't know. This is my rant. Sorry. I shouldn't say sorry because I don't give a fuck. John Rand, the bands I am in are Annihilatus and Nightside. I'll type them so you can Google them, Metal Archives them, or whatever. And I will be talking about that Nightside band in next week's video, where I will link Nightside Scumbag gig as well as the album on YouTube, so people can figure out what kind of music it is. Melodic black metal in the 90s way is the way to sum it up. And Eric Sire, I know that you you know what coming back means. Yeah, I definitely know that you, of all people, definitely know that thing. Did any metal musician go to prison in Finland? Yeah, for example, the guy from Diaboli, one of the oldest Finnish black metal bands, I guess. Petri Ilvespakka went to prison for some assault in person. I think he attacked someone with an axe or something. So there was this assault thing going on. Um, then I think Jarno Elk, who was convicted for this cannibal crime in the late 90s for killing a friend and eating some parts of that. That is what was related to Ancient band. They were listening to Ancient. The story goes that far. And I think he was related to a band, but I'm not 100% sure if he actually played in a band. And the latest one I know who has gone to prison and who has played in a black metal band is one of the old Enochian Crescent members. And this one guy was part of a big drug trafficking thing. That was a big deal here in Finland. I mean, it made it into the mainstream news. There were a lot of guys involved. I think over 50 people were charged with some kind of a drug related, I think it called indictments. Uh, and There were at least few people related to metal scene in Finland. Like one of the guys was a promoter to a festival that hasn't happened for many years now, but it was kind of a preceding Steelfest. So one of those promoters ended up going from his metal promoter career to a drug career and ended up in prison. And one of these Enochian Crescent guys. Nice guy though, but when you fuck around and you get caught by the police for importing a lot of drugs, we're not talking about some, let's sell some weed on the streets to a lot of random people. We're talking about big drug trafficking thing. So they got multiple years in prison for drugs. So things like that. Pupik is asking what is my favorite album of all time. I'm kind of bound to say it's Raining Blood. Now, it's not obviously my only 10 out of 10 album, but if I had to pick one album, gun pointing at my head, I would like Slayer for life. And pardon, I still have a little bit this COVID flu going on, so my voice is a little bit down, and I feel like there's like my nose is stuck in a ball of snot inside my head, if you know what I mean. What else? Hello, Belsat. Nice to have you here. Are you coming to Inferno Festival? I don't know if Blackgoat actually got to jail. I don't know. I usually if you do that kind of stuff, you get just fined, and that's it. For example, my ex band member, uh, our ex bass player in Nightside, he burned down some. I think it was like not Jehovah's Witnesses, but some religious group related to Christ. He burned down a big tent with big ass sound system and whatever. And back in the days, it was like 200,000 Finnish marks, which would roughly be nowadays, uh, what I would say, maybe 40,000 euros worth of stuff. And he got convicted for that, but he actually, got only like a monetary kind of a punishment. So it's not like he had to go jail for that. And I think he was actually essentially forgiven by these people of Christ for, well, burning down their shit. So there's that. You can't really bring those amplifiers to heaven, so why not forgive? Actually, that's what they're supposed to do based on Bible and shit. Eric Sari, you're very true about that. And antisocial activities are, always been a big deal. So in that respect, I'm a dude in a weird place. Me being this kind of a hyper social and having still my own bands, writing that kind of lyrics and talking about music. Sometimes I feel like I'm misplaced. Maybe I should be a hip hop guy or something. I don't know. But then again, I don't really care what other people do in that respect. I mean, there are plenty of antisocial people, and that's why they do metal because they're antisocial, and their ways to communicate with the world is create art in solitude and all that stuff. And I'm like antithesis of all that. So you know, weird dude in a weird place, I guess. Yeah, but I mean, I'm even a social guy in the terms of being social. But yeah, a lot of antisocial people don't necessarily get me. Like, hey, what is this guy? He talks too much and he writes too much and he's all over the place doing this and that. I guess I get to piss a lot of people off, but hey, it is what it is. Uh, Gudo is asking if I listen to the new Destruction. Depends on what you mean by new Destruction. I am not aware that they have a new album out anyway. Oh, Bell said, okay, too bad, not coming to Inferno. Hello, Perpetual. I'm fine, thanks. Beating COVID and getting prepared to Inferno Festival, where I will be doing some interviews next week. Eric is asking if I like other genres of music. Well, yes. I even though I metal is my core. I mean, most of my listening time is taken by black metal and death metal and thrash metal and even a little bit of heavy metal. I am a big fan of soundtrack music. And by soundtrack music, I mean movie, TV show, and game soundtracks. I've been listening to that stuff, I don't know, since the 90s. Uh, I think my first CDs of soundtrack music are from the 90s. I also can enjoy some kind of darker music like pop music, Depeche Mode. I'm a fan. I'm also a big fan of Pink Floyd, not all the albums, but especially the later era, because in my opinion they're well, more mature, more well, darker, and all that. What else? Um, Dark ambient is definitely one of my favorite genres on earth. Even a lot of that music is even better than a lot of metal music. Uh, but I don't know. I can enjoy even some hip hop music, gangster rap, old school. That is something that I can enjoy for the content, the aggressiveness and violence and all that stuff. But by no means I would never say I love all the music in the world. I like all the genres because that's bullshit. Nobody likes all the genres. Everybody has their own points of hate and dislike. Like I don't even like most metal music. I can admit it. But yes, I definitely have music beyond metal music in my collection, and I love music when it comes to certain themes and topics. Like usually when I play in my car are some soundtrack music, unless I'm really listening to some, I don't know, discography by some bands. This is an interesting question. This what Perpetual is asking. How did I get into the doing this channel and doing interviews? Now this might take a whole different video because I have to be going rather soon, but I'll try to give you a proper answer for your question. Now I got to review albums over 20 years ago, and past 20 years, I've been writing more than 6,000, almost 7,000 reviews by now. So what got me into the video format, doing Rauta, was kind of coincidence. Because I write for a living, that's my day job, that is. Uh, I kind of got bored to idea of writing interviews. So I wanted to do something else. And then I knew some people who do their stuff like their own online TV channel. Like they do various kind of contents. They had the camera, they had the editor, they had people who could, shoot videos. So we decided to team up. Like, hey, what else if we could do some video content of metal music? Because by no means I'm expert on nothing, but I know my ways through metal because I've been listening to a lot of music throughout my years since I was a little kid. I mean, by little kid, I mean like since I was 6, 7 years old. And since I've been writing about metal music for over 20 years now, and I've been in the bands, I've been to a lot of shows and festivals and whatever. I mean, I already have this background of reviewing music. I had this background of interviewing bands, and I talk a lot. Like I said, I'm very social, and I'm not afraid of social, meetings or circumstances and gatherings or whatever. So for me, it comes to quite natural to talk about music, write about music. So what if we just started to, do video interviews? Go to some festivals and like, hey, what's up? What kind of music are you doing and why? Why are you doing these kind of lyrics? Are you a satanic person? Why are you not satanic person? you get the idea. They ask the very basic questions and elaborate from that. Instead of like having this, list of questions, I just go and improvise. It's like conversations to me. It comes very natural. So we figured out why not do him. So I go to one show and I go to this event here and there. Like I said, this was this pilot program, which was already before Rauta, like 1 year before that, and it was Finnish. But we figured out there's no point of doing Finnish metal television, if you will, because the interviews are going to be in English anyway for most of the time. That is beyond Finnish bands. So since we're going to do these interviews in English, why not create the rest of the content, reviews and opinion videos and random features in English? Just because, I mean, we can do it. And then we would get bigger audience than just some Finnish metalheads. And that's how we started to roll. So this pilot program, which was going on for few months basically, turned into Rauta, create something new, start doing these interviews and reviews and whatever. And here we are. So it's a natural continuation to what I have been doing with, my rhythm stuff. Instead of just writing reviews, I still do them almost on a daily basis. So I nowadays, instead of doing only a video, I write reviews here on my computer, and I also do that on videos, daily reviews and stuff like that. And Rauta has been growing steadily but slowly. I mean, still, Rauta is not a big channel. I mean, you can see by the numbers, but we're growing, and I think we have gotten some, underground recognition for the interviews. Interviews are the most viewable content anyway here in Rauta, and because some people like them, there's no reason why to stop. I mean, I like to talk to people. I like to pick their brains. I like to ask weird, funny questions, and I like to bring that material to people. And that's why I do this stream. It's nice to not only to talk to band people, the artists. It's also nice to talk to, regular fans, Joes and Janes, much like me, you know, to metal music. Metal music is passion. We all know that. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So there's that. The passion drives me to do more interviews, more reviews. That's pretty much of it. I hope that answered your question. Eric, I think very many people are actually doing metal because it makes rebellious and edgy. That is especially a thing going on in black metal scene. Hello, Germany, Lord KHW. What about neofolk? Well, I've been listening to some neofolk here and there. Not exactly most my favorite cup of tea, but I can enjoy neofolk, yeah, as well. Oh, I gotta say, Gudo, I have missed the latest Destruction album. Then have not heard it. And Belsat at Hominem is not going to Inferno Festival, not this year anyway. Perpetual is asking, is that an axe by my guitar on the background? Yes, it's actually just kind of I'll show you. I'll show you. So this rusty friend of mine, I don't know if you can see, but there's some spider webs here. It has been in place for a few months now. Now this is rusty as fuck. It's even broken here. This is not a real axe like the ones that you would kill people with. This is something that my friend bought, like I think around 30 years ago from a local tobacco store. So this was kind of an axe that people just put on their walls for, you know, decoration. Like those old medieval armor. So a few years later than that, I purchased this one from him because I like this axe. It's now worn down with these marks of use. Even the whatever this down part of an axe is called, this knob here is all rusty. This spike, this blade, which never been sharp. I used this as a part of nightside live gigs. This was kind of my tool. I had inverted crosses on stage, which I would show the people like anti-Christianity, and I would show this axe, even though it's lightweight and another real weapon, as part of my stage attire. So it's kind of a part of memorabilia for me now. Now, when we made our comeback gig in a few weeks ago, I didn't take this one with me, but I was considering to do it because this used to travel with me when we were doing those gigs with Nightside. So it's a real decoration axe. Looks fun, but isn't sharp enough. Probably not to kill anybody. Well, probably would hurt if you hit it with that in the head, but that's the story of that axe. Uh Pubik is asking interesting question. Do I like Burzum? Burzum is one of my favorite Norwegian black metal bands. And as it is, I am preparing my Burzum worst best video for May. So few weeks and you will get my ranking on Burzum. This month it's gonna be some different band. So I want to mention my favorite Burzum album right now. What is my opinion on non-metal albums by Burzum? I will be discussing that as well with my video, so I will talk about it now. Perpetual, you're welcome. And since it's past midnight and I need to get up rather early tomorrow, I think we will be shutting down in 15 minutes max. So last questions, please. Mike Killer Mars is asking, hello, Jerry. Really enjoyed the channel. Thank you. Nice to have you here, by the way. What is my opinion about the Finnish band Winter Sun? I never actually listened to Winter Sun, but I know they are fun band to hate because they have created very, very, say, unusual ways of, getting the audience. So can't really comment their music, but I know it's a one of a kind band, and I kind of like their work ethics, if you know what I mean. But at the same time, they really make their music kind of laughable. I mean, not music laughable, but the band because of crowdfunding and all that stuff. Yeah, else that album that X has never been on an album cover as such, but I mean, promotional photos, and it's been traveling here and there. So it used to be gorgeous. Now it's just rusty, which then again, creates a nice feel to it. Have I ever worn corpse paints? More times than I can possibly count. All right, Eric Sire. See you again. Next stream will be early May, and I will be talking about Steelfest Festival and all that stuff. Was nice to have you here. Thank you, Eric. Um, yep. Well, Perpetual, I am not talking about my favorite or least favorite version on this stream, but yeah, I already actually went through all the version releases, even the ones that I have missed earlier on, and now I'm doing a second run. But I pretty much already know how my ranking is going to be. I'm just going to torture myself a little bit more. And thank you, Metal Killer Scales. Nice to have you here as well. So, should you have last questions? Because I'm not opening a new beer anyway. I'm done with this beer. Only one beer this stream. I would stay up late if it was possible, but it's not. I have some things to do in the morning. Why I am also going to wake up early tomorrow. So, final questions, please. Hello, Oscar. Nice to have you here. Have I played Battlefield 2042? Nope. I actually read some reviews of that game and felt like, man, they have failed it this time. Now, talking about games, I must mention that I'm planning to include some videos about games later on. I'm trying to bring more workout and gaming videos to the channel when I'm not talking about music, and including also some comments about movies and TV series, TV shows I've been watching. So I will be talking about them, but no, that particular Battlefield is out of my grasp in a way. Sorry, Bells had no idea what the Moloth or Meleth guy is doing nowadays. No idea. Uh, Maybe he is indeed part of Azov Battalion, but I really don't know. Let me take a look. I don't actually know what beer. Where is this beer from? This Doctor Raptor, this Imperial IP is just something that I wanted to get because it looked nice. It seems like it could be Dutch because it's Ultje Brewing Company. What the hell? My eyesight isn't what it used to be. What the fuck? Help me read that. No, kidding aside. This could be Belgium, I guess. I was already figuring out why tastes so goddamn strong, but yeah, figures it's 9.2. So that's the reason. Let me take a look at this particular beer. Yeah, it is indeed Dutch beer. So this is the one I was having, Dr. Raptor. Interesting beer. I only picked this because of the how the can looked like. Amber Anthem's best black metal album of all times. Not even near. Not even the best of Emperor. Transylvanian Hunger could be very well the best black metal album of all time. That or Storm of the Light's Bane. My opinion about Red Bull. Well, I'm not a big drinker of energy drinks, but I think Red Bull is solid. It tastes kind of a funny. It's good for vodka, and I liked how they support sports and stuff like that nowadays. I mean, big, with their own channel and all. So Red Bull and all that stuff, yeah, it's pretty solid. All right, guys, it's been more than 1 hour. It was nice to answer your questions. It was nice to recap the whole Inferno Festival 2022 thing. So, just give you a word of warning. I might be bombing my social media channels, Facebook and Instagram, next week. Because next week on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I will be traveling to Oslo, Norway for Inferno Festival 2022. And that will be interviews and bands on stage. And I probably will do some random videos or photos of that trip. And those who know what Marius is, he might be doing a comeback. I mean, I had to do a little bit of Marius, you know, last August with Steel Hordes Festival and also from Nordic Metal Cruise later on. So stay tuned for Marius stuff coming as well. How can you introduce me to your band? Well, you can if your music is on, pardon, if your music is on Spotify, you can send me a link to that. And if not, it's not very likely that I will end up listening to it unless you have a physical copy, which you will send for review. And Alex Rose, sorry, but I'm going. I'm just about to say good night and all that stuff. And yeah. Oh, Perpetual. Nice to hear. All right. Anyway, good night, people. See you next month with another Rauta monthly stream. This time I had COVID, so this one is 1 week late. I hope to be back around. Let me give you the roughly the date. The first weekend of May, that would be 7th of May, Saturday. So mark that in your calendar. Is it going to be 6th or 7th of May for next Rauta stream? So talk to you again with streams. And if you haven't signed to Rauta social media pages, you can find them always in the links provided. But check out Rauta's Facebook so you can keep updated for videos and random videos and whatever updates I'm going to do there. Check out Rauta's Instagram and also check out Rauta's Twitch account. I do weekly gaming streams where I will always also talk about metal, not just gaming. Even so, even if you're not a gamer, you can pretty much join and ask me random questions, much like these. You don't have to wait for the whole month for yet another Rauta stream. But if you don't like social media, that's fine too. See you anyway with the videos and check out the reviews and all that stuff. Now it's Rauta saying good night. Take care, my friends, and have a good weekend. Talk to you soon again. Bye bye.